Alright, I think we're going. And let's see. Select stream. Refresh. That's me. It says connected and it says excellent. So let's do it. Let's do it, damn it. Good morning. Welcome to yet another episode of Redstone Lapis Lazuli. It is I, your host, Pogo Kiddo. Man, wow. No! Have things changed? Alright, hey, back to game. Doesn't crash. How nice, right? How nice. I don't know what happened. I would think that the problems were with like a lot of other things, and well, doesn't matter. I don't know anything about programming. So check this out. This is the Nether. I'm using Rethinking Voxels as my shader, and yeah, it looks really good. Like, it looks this good everywhere, except that usually there's monsters here, so you can't see how good it looks because I'm running for my life. But right now I'm running in peaceful mode, so I can still die if I like fall into lava or something. But there's not going to be monsters to help me do something stupid. It'll be all on me. So, anyways, yeah. So what I did was like getting to this fortress is really far away from my base, and I need to have a way to get here that doesn't involve me running forever in the nether roof. Because if you run down here in the nether, look how dangerous it's super dangerous, and it's hard. Like, there's monsters everywhere, and there's no easy way of getting here. When you make your own way, yeah, it's a lot easier. Anyways, when I first got here, I was using like the monsters and everything. All the bad guys were here. So I was up there, and the only way to get down here is to either jump off and die or be very hurt, and then all the monsters would kill me, or to use one of these pre-existing like structures. Like, all over the nether, there's just these things going down from the nether, and I just made a spiral down to get to the nether fortress. And of course I was fighting monsters the entire time, and it was awful, and I was really stressed out, and I couldn't really look around and appreciate, man, this looks really good, this looks great. And then of course after I did that, and I made a base, I made like a proper base here. And a safe way in and out, so, through the nether with rail. So it's no stress coming here, no stress. And then I even like worked on this nether, or this blaze farm. Not sure if it works. I have to turn off peaceful mode to check it out. But I kind of like peaceful mode right now because I don't have to like stress. So yeah, I haven't done the show in a little bit because, well, there was not a whole lot to talk about. But now that Donald Trump has had like a week of the presidency, let's talk about some stuff. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. I mean, I have like a billion trillion things that I saved. It's too much, but like, I'm not even sure who is my audience anymore. Because, well, nobody. Nobody. The future is my audience. So, alright, so if the future is my audience, if that's what's going on, because it's nobody in the present, some context. So I recognized that Donald Trump was a fascist, a Nazi, and he was compromised. I recognized it a few days after his presidency began in 2017, and I figured it out because the Deputy Attorney General Sally Yates was saying that Trump's pick for the National Security Council, Michael Flynn, was an agent for Turkey, an unregistered foreign agent. He was working for a foreign government while he was working for the United States, and it wasn't declared. So Sally Yates was trying to tell the Trump administration that this was going on, thinking the Trump administration would be like, "Oh, we didn't know. We'll fire him and put in somebody good." But instead, the Trump administration ignored Sally Yates. They ignored the fact that they hired a guy that was working for another country. They ignored it. So Sally Yates went to the press. And then it was reported in the press, and that's how we found out about it. And then the Trump administration responded by firing her. They fired Flynn because they had to, because it's in the press now. And then after they fired Flynn, they fired Sally Yates. So then Sally Yates was called into a committee hearing, a congressional committee hearing, and asked, "Yo, dude, what happened?" What? And Sally Yates said, "Yeah, I told the Trump administration 3 times that Michael Flynn was a spy, and they ignored me until I went to the press, and then they fired me." So that was my first clue that the Trump administration was not good. And then there was all that stuff with the Steele dossier, which is actually like nothing to be concerned about because it wasn't the basis for the FBI investigation. Because we would find out later on. That George Papadopoulos, who was Donald Trump's coffee boy, got drunk, but actually he was involved in a lot of stuff. George Papadopoulos, he was the liaison. He was the connection between Russia, and one of the connections between Russia and Donald Trump campaign. And one night he got drunk and told some big ambassador from Australia. He got drunk and told the ambassador from Australia that the Russians had dirt on Hillary Clinton and that they were going to get it. Which concerned the ambassador, the Australian ambassador, who told the FBI about this, and then the FBI started an investigation into George Papadopoulos and Carter Page, another like pro-Russia dude. Both those guys were working for, not working directly, but working for Russia to get into the Trump campaign. And so like it ballooned into this giant thing. So the Trump-Russia thing is real. I mean, it never went away. Even like you can say, "Oh, he won the election." That's how fucked up it is. It never went away, and he won the election. So like, the question is, who do you believe, right? Who do you believe? Do you believe the American government, or do you believe criminals and the Russian government? Because if you listen to the Americans, they say, "Oh yeah, shit, we have all this stuff. We have all this evidence." But if you listen to the Russians, they say, "No, the Americans are lying." And if you listen to the criminals, they're saying, "No, witch hunt." They'll just say a bunch of bullshit, right? So the question is, who do you believe? Do you believe the Americans, or do you believe the Russians and criminals? And And it turns out a lot of Americans believe Russians and the criminals instead of Americans. And so we're heading now to a bad place. A bad, bad place. Like, for me, it was obvious. It was obvious when it was starting. Like, I saw it from a long time ago. And so I went around and I would literally hold a sign. I would literally hold a sign outside of Salem Saturday Market and scream, yelling, telling people that Trump is a Nazi, that Trump is working for Russia, that Trump is not our friend, right? I was holding a sign over and over and over again to let people know. For years I did this. For years. And then I did the show, right? I mean, I knew for a long time. But people ignored me or pretended I was crazy. They would call the cops on me. They would throw their drinks at me. Yeah, all sorts of bad stuff. It sucked. It sucked. It was awful. Okay. But then something happened. Donald Trump won the election. Well, he staged a coup, right? He staged a coup. He lost the election in 2020 and tried to hold on to power by staging a coup. And it failed, but enough of the government is corrupt that they helped him get over the coup. Now, what do I mean by enough of the government? I mean Republicans. I mean some Democrats too, right? Kristen Sinema and Joe Manchin, who started as Democrats, who got elected as Democrats, but acted as Republicans. Like, I can make an excuse for Joe Manchin, in that he was a Democrat in a Republican state. Like that was, he shouldn't have been there. No one knows what kind of magic corruption Joe Manchin did in order to get his position as a Democrat. And so even though he voted against the Democrats a lot of times, he still gave the majority, the Senate control to the Democrats. He gave Senate control to the Democrats. Without Joe Manchin, the Democrats do not control the Senate. And that's what happened. Because when Joe Manchin retired, no way was a Democrat going to win that seat. West Virginia is a deep red state. I don't know what to say about it. Like, yeah, are they racist? Probably. So, anyways, going off track here. Yeah, the Republicans helped Donald Trump cover up the election and then twist it and try to say all these other crazy conspiracy theories. So how do I know this stuff? Because my mom's a boomer, and my mom has a friend who is also a boomer, and this friend has told the most ridiculous shit to my mom, who at first believed it and then would repeat it to me, and which would drive me crazy because then I have to debunk everything she says, and I could see her turning into like a MAGA. She was getting turned into a MAGA. So I had to work pretty hard to make sure that she got good information and didn't get turned into MAGA. And even though she, I saved her from becoming MAGA, she still talked to this friend who still says ridiculous stuff to her, And then my mom asks me, "Oh, is that real? Is this real?" My ridiculous, stupid friend who has filled my head with lies has told me this new thing. I'm not sure if it's true. Of course, it's not true. But let me assuage your concerns. And we look it up and we find out. Oh, look, it's actually the opposite of what they said. But, you know, and then so my mom asked her MAGA friend, "Where do you get this information that's always consistently wrong? Where do you get it?" and the MAGA says, "Oh, I get it from my friends. She's like, "I don't watch or read the news. I don't do any of that. But I listen to what my friends say, and my friends say this." And then so my mom posted something that contradicted what her friend said on my friend's Facebook page. On her friend's Facebook page, and then she deleted it. The MAGA deleted it and said, "I don't want my other friends to see this on my Facebook page, otherwise they will stop talking to me." Do you see how it's a cult? It's a cult. It's a cult. Like, I can be cordial with MAGA, but they're not going to be my friend. It's a cult. MAGA is a cult. So this cult believes Russia and criminals and disbelieves the Americans and their own eyes. So I've been saying this for years. Donald Trump is compromised. Donald Trump is a fascist. He hangs out with fascists. He may not be a neo-Nazi, but neo-Nazis love him. And of course he's an elitist, right? Because that's why he got all the billionaires together. Because he's an elitist. He's about the elite. So he got all the billionaires to bend their knee to him, like Putin does. And yeah, and one of those billionaires is Elon Musk, who the right wing loves. They love this guy. He's the richest guy in the world. The richest guy in the world, like $300 billion. Like, do I have to show you how much $100 billion looks like compared to what we make? Do I have to show you that again? Maybe I should. Maybe I should do that. Hold on, let me see. How do I do it? Because I'm not showing you anything here. Here. Save and quit the title. Let me show you. Anyways, he got Elon Musk. Catlandu. He got Elon Musk. Here, I'm gonna turn this room options peaceful too. Peaceful. Man, this is an old world. I don't have any more rockets, huh? Shit. I have to come back to this world just to make a little bit. Just to make more rockets. Oh, I have some. Get rid of this shit. Oh my god. Lag. Snow. Informer. Okay. Let's see. This is an old world. Season, I don't know what season this is. I spent a lot of time here. Jeez. I did a lot of work. I think this is one of my first worlds because I didn't really understand a lot of, or like know a lot of stuff. That's when this is the world where I started just building like, or digging massive chambers. and my first skeleton, one of my first skeleton spawners. I was so proud of this. It was so funny. It's in peaceful mode. It's not gonna work. Anyways, let me show you how big Elon $100 billion is compared to what Americans make. Because you have to understand, right? Donald Trump and his followers are elitists. They're elitists. They only believe the elite should have any say in anything. Okay. Here's a map, right? Here's a map of my base, and we are right here underneath, right? Here's the train station. Up there's the train station. So that's the train station, that checkered plate. And that under the ground, under there is me. All right. Now you come over here, and you see these stations here, right? These stations show how much wealth each American has divided by quintiles. So quintiles are fives. So you take 100% and you chop it up in 20%, 20%, 20%, 20%, 20%. So there's a middle 20%, a lowest 20%, a highest 20%, and then like two mediums. Okay. So, and then over here, blocked out is $100 billion, which Elon Musk has 3 of these things. So it doesn't even show, the map doesn't even show how much Elon Musk has compared to anyone else. It doesn't even show. So, for example, one block is $100,000. This block here represents the bottom 20%, divided in quintiles, 5, right? 20, 20, 20, 20, 20. The lowest 20% is in the hole. On average, as a group, they're in the hole minus $6,000. That's what it looks like. The next quintile, the next one up, your net worth, which is your assets minus your liabilities. So your debt, like any credit card debt, any kind of like mortgage, anything else, you minus that from your net worth. And then what you have left is what you have. So the next 20%, their net worth is $7,000. So maybe it's a car and like a computer and like that's about it. That's all. That's the amount of their worldly possessions. All right, the middle class, the vaunted middle class of America, the average net worth is about $70,000. So that means you're a family, you have a car, and maybe you have a house with a mortgage on it that you're paying off. So that's what it looks like, right? So it goes in the hole to almost a full block to 7 blocks. Then you go to the fourth highest. So they have a net worth of $205,000. So about 20 bricks. Right? Each brick is at $10,000. 10 bricks is $100,000. They have 2 $100,000. That's about 20 bricks. So the richest, the top 20% of Americans have an average net worth of $630,000. 63 blocks up, right? They're way up there. But we're not talking about that, right? Here, a millionaire. What's a millionaire, right? A millionaire is only the top 0.002% of all Americans in the United States. Like, even now, hardly anybody is a millionaire. Hardly anybody is a millionaire. It's crazy. Millionaires are very, 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 very rare. Of net income, or income, or is it worth? I'm not sure if this is worth or income. It's got to be worth, your net worth, because how can you have negative income? So anyways, the richest people have only one of these, right? This is 100 bricks. That's 100 bricks. And it's only 0.002%. But we're not talking about millionaires or thousandaires. Right? That's the majority of America. Like, only the 0.002% are millionaires in America. And net worth. So we're talking billionaires. So you want to look at a billionaire. What's a billionaire? What? If this is 100 bricks, this is 1 million. This is 2 million. This is 3 million. This is 4 million. This is 5 million. And we're going to go all the way down the millions, all the way down to 99, $100 million. $100 million from there to there. It might be off by like a few, but that's okay. It's basically the same thing. One slice, so that's one slice is $100 million. Right? So already we're at 0.002% for anybody with $1 million of net worth. Hardly any Americans. Now we're talking, you take that wealth and you times it by 100. This is $100 million. Now you take $100 million and you say $200 million, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, 900, $1 billion. Ho 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 ho. $1 billion. That's $1 billion. So we take 1 billion, you go maybe like 2 billion, you go 3 billion, you go 4 billion. $4 billion. Now you're at George Soros. You're at George Soros level. This is George Soros. $4 billion. That's him. He had up to like $36 billion, but he donated like a huge chunk of his money away. It's all gone, right? But that we're not talking about George Soros. We're talking about Elon Musk. Elon Musk, way over there. Do you see at the very end? Not right there, but at the very end. Distant Horizons is great, man. What a great mod. At the very end, right there, that is $100 billion. That's $100 billion. $100 billion. And Elon Musk has 3 of these bad boys. So you take one of these and you go 2 more. You know, like it goes forever. It goes forever. Right? Elon Musk, Donald Trump put Elon Musk into the government. Elon Musk is all inside the United States government. He's running our space program. He's doing this. He's making like that Skylink, not Skylink. What's it called? Starlink. Like he already affected the the Russian invasion of Ukraine. He disabled Starlink when the Ukrainians were about to launch an attack, and that stopped the Ukrainians from launching their attack because Elon Musk turned off the Starlink before they did it. Elon Musk met with Vladimir Putin personally, and then came out of that meeting spouting Russian talking points. Elon Musk has said tons of Nazi shit in the past. He's from South Africa, who got here on a student visa, but he never attended school. So he was here illegally. And he got his money. How did his family get its money? By having an emerald mine in apartheid South Africa. So his wealth is built on apartheid. On racism. His wealth is built on racism and exploitation. Elon Musk is an example of an elite. He is the richest man in the world, and he's in control of our government. And at Trump's inauguration, look what he did. At Trump's inauguration. What? So step 1, step 2. Well, I'm not that old, right? I'm not that old. I wasn't alive for World War II. I wasn't alive for World War II. But my mom was. No, she wasn't. No, she wasn't. My mom wasn't alive for World War II either. But she was born right afterwards. She was born right afterwards, which makes her a boomer. And she knows what is a Nazi. How can you not? Especially growing up as a boomer. because you are you are taught that, man, I don't want to see that. You are taught that America's prosperity came because America won the war. America won the war. That was the big deal. We won the war. We won the war. That was the big deal. So, you know, who did we win the war against? Nazi Germany. That's why we talk about D-Day. That's why we talk about Pearl Harbor. We talk about a lot of these things. I mean, that's why America has its wealth today. I mean, because, or is in the position it is today because it was the last man standing after World War II. The last man standing. Everyone else was in shambles and wrecked. And the United States was basically untouched. So the United States created a world order that would benefit the United States primarily. We made trade deals that benefited the United States primarily. And yeah, that was the order. That was the liberal order. Well, that order has been slowly degraded over time. I think Joe Biden was the last gasp of it. And Donald Trump is opposed to the world order. He's trying to tear it down. He tore down NAFTA and made a new deal that was worse than NAFTA. He stopped the Trans-Pacific. There were issues with it, right? There were issues with the Trans-Pacific Trade Pact that the United States was doing under Obama. There were issues with it. But the idea of it, the general idea, was to create a trade pact that would exclude China and keep the trade within just America, Japan, Australia, and a few other Asian countries to stop China from dominating their economies. And Trump killed it. He killed it. So what happened? Those Asian nations did it anyways. They just excluded the United States. So Donald Trump is isolating the United States more and more and more. He's trying to start a fight with our allies. He's talking about leaving NATO. He's talking about conceding the war, the invasion to Russia. I mean, he doesn't say it, but of course that's what he means, and that's what he's told the Ukrainian people, that he wants to end the war on terms that are favorable for Russia. I mean, he told his voters that he would end the war on day one, which was bullshit, but they don't care, right? His voters just eat bullshit. They just love it. They're in a cult. I was telling you, right? Remember, the American system was built after World War II to benefit the Americans, to benefit the United States. And Donald Trump's best buddy, his elite buddy, Elon Musk, went on his stage on his inauguration and did a Sig Heil. Watch. And then it wasn't a mistake, right? It's not a mistake. He did it twice. He does it this way. He does it first this way, and then he turns around and he does it again. Watch. So it's not a mistake. Like, you know what it is. Especially if you're a boomer, you know what it is. Here, let's look at a comparison, right? These are on that side, you have actual Nazis, well, like open Nazis. Well, open, but they cover their faces because they're ashamed. They don't want people to know they're Nazis. And then you have an open Nazi. You have Elon Musk openly being a fucking Nazi on Trump's inauguration stage, right? It's not a mistake. It's not a fucking like salute. It's a Roman, or it's not a Roman salute. It's a fucking Nazi salute. Nazis are doing it too. Bop bop, right? So but maybe no, dude. No. Look it. It's the same. There's no getting out of it. It's a fucking Nazi salute. So my mom showed her boomer MAGA friend this clip of Elon Musk doing the Nazi salute. And my mom's friend, she's a MAGA, right? So and she's a boomer. So she supports Trump. And doesn't believe Americans but believes Russia. I need more coffee. So my mom shows her this clip. And my mom's MAGA friend sees this clip and says, "Oh, I don't know what he's doing. I don't know what he's doing. I'm not familiar with that motion or that symbol or that sign." And for anyone who says they're not familiar with it, or they don't think it's a bad sign, I dare you to go into work the next day and do it in front of your boss and see what happens. I don't know anymore, right? I used to be confident that would entail big social repercussions, but I'm not so confident anymore. Making coffee. So that's what I mean by in a cult. Like, it doesn't, like Donald Trump said also famously that he could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue and he wouldn't lose a voter. Why could he say that? Why is that true? What he says is true. He's not lying. What he says is true. How can it be that he could go on Fifth Avenue, shoot someone, and not lose a voter? How can that be? Because he's not, his appeal isn't rational. It's not a rational thing. You don't think about Donald Trump and be like, yeah, he makes sense rationally. That's not what happens. He connects on an emotional level. It's literally a cult of personality. Without Donald Trump, it would fall apart. The coffee has to brew. But yeah. So this guy, this billionaire, Elon Musk, who's got so much money that we are down there, and he is like way over there. That's where he lives, and we're down there. $300 billion. If he would liquidate, if we took Elon Musk and liquidated him, well, I don't know. We have 300. Don't we have 350 billion people in the United States? That's another thing I want to talk about, but that's later. Elon Musk, Nazi. My boomer friend, my mom's boomer friend, boomer MAGA friend, saw this clip and said she didn't know what he was doing. She was confused. She didn't know. So like everyone, I wouldn't say everyone, but they talk about there's talk about the good German. They say like how could Nazism come to take over Germany? How can it do it? Right? And it's the idea of the good German. The good German is a guy who's like, he follows the law. He doesn't want any trouble. He doesn't want to start things like, he's not a Nazi himself, right? He doesn't join the Nazi party. Like, he might vote for the Nazis, but he's not going to go to their rallies. He doesn't engage in a lot of the same stuff. He's just trying to get along with his neighbors. That's all he's trying to do. And they just don't bring up politics. And like that's how, and they would just overlook things. Like if reports would come of like beatings or crimes, if they would start harassing people, they would just overlook it. They just wouldn't see it. Because they're good Germans. They're just trying to be okay. right? We got the same thing going on here in the United States. We have this. They're just good Americans. They're just good Americans. They're not Nazis. They're just good Americans. I mean, yeah, they might be busy working. They might be busy taking care of their kids. They might be like trying not to be homeless. Like, if you're homeless, dude, I understand, right? You're surviving. That's something different. But if you got a roof over your head and food on the table, and you're relatively healthy, you should know what's going on. You should be able to have. You should have some responsibility. Like, if you're gonna vote for a Nazi, you should at least know why. Because the history is not gonna look back on you and be like, oh yeah, they were just good Americans. They're, you know, most Americans were good. They're gonna look at us and like hate on us. Already they're gonna hate on us because of Israeli genocide of Palestine. That was under Joe Biden, who said famously, I am a Zionist. Joe Biden said that. How can you be the president of a multiracial democracy and endorse ethno-nationalism? How can you do that? You can't, which is why you lost the presidency. It's still brewing. I can smell it, and I'm kind of hungry, but you can kill hunger with coffee. So yeah, here I am running on top of $1 billion, and Elon Musk is over there laughing at me. Ha ha ha! At your little 1 billion. Actually, though, I'm not even here. I live down here. Wee wee. I live right here. I'm in the middle. I'm nowhere near this guy. And in fact, I can so easily slip to down here. It's not that like I'm super secure, like, oh yeah, I'm successful. Like, any moment something can happen to me and I would tumble back down. And like, I am not getting up here. I don't know how that's gonna happen. Like, I would have to live another 100 years. I have to live 100 years, and like, at work, I'd have to work 100 years. I don't know how long I have to work. Yeah, how long would I have to work in order to get to the next one up? Man, it's anyways. I'm nowhere near Elon Musk, and so I don't think Elon Musk has any concern for me, or wants to make any decisions that affect my well-being, that will help me out. No, he just wants to make more money for himself, and a bunch of people agreed with him. A bunch of these people down here agreed with him. These guys are like, oh yeah, this alien, this Nazi alien is gonna look out for me. So, what else do I got here? Ooh, hey, check that out. Just Jack, right? Just Jack, that's all. Hey, dude, why can't I grab you? There we go. Shit. This is so janky how I do this. I'm sorry. Other people are like all professional, not me. Just Jack says, he orchestrated a coup. It failed. He is a convicted felon. He rose to power on a wave of divisive propaganda and hateful anti-immigrant rhetoric. He promised to make things great again. He threatened to annex his neighbors. I'm referring, of course, to Adolf Hitler. History doesn't repeat, it rhymes. Hitler rhymes with Trump. Hitler rhymes with Trump. That's a song. Hitler rhymes with Trump. Hitler rhymes with Trump. Hey, history doesn't repeat, it rhymes. Hitler rhymes with Trump. I mean, it's true. It's so true. Yeah, the thing about these is that the microphone's on the wrong side. I can't drink coffee. I mean, I should maybe get a microphone that hangs up from like up here, but then no one cares anyways, man. No one's like watching. Anyways. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, if you cut America into 5 pieces and put their wealth on top, what would it look like? Well, the first one would be in the hole. The next one would be not even a full brick. This is the middle class. Woo! This is like the well-to-do professionals, and then this one is yeah, I can afford maybe a modest house, maybe like a 2-bedroom house, maybe in town, maybe out in the boonies, who knows. Let's see. Yeah, this is the top, but even the top is not really, you know, all that great compared to the top 1%, and even then, top 1%, you really want the 0.002%, which is a millionaire. And then you get Elon Musk, who's like way over there, you can't see him. This world's so old, I don't have bamboo. Mountains. All right. What else do I got? This funny meme. So it's a meme of a spectrum. Far left, center, right of center, far right. So the meme format is like the middle doesn't know what's going on, but the far ends know. So the far left says Elon Musk just did a Nazi salute on live TV, and it shows like a depressed face. And the far right says Elon Musk just did a Nazi salute on live TV, and it's a Nazi who's like troll smiling. And then in the center, the political center, my boomer friend says, "No, you're missing the context. It was an accident. He didn't mean to do that." Which of course he meant to do that. But the center often misses what's going on. Okay, So Donald Trump and Elon Musk, they want to cut the budget deficit. So remember, why do we have a budget deficit? Why is there this huge budget deficit? Bill Clinton balanced the budget back in the 90s. What happened? What happened? George W. Bush happened. George W. Bush came in and got a lot of power from 9/11 because all the Americans rallied behind George W. Bush after 9/11. And with that power, he invaded Iraq, Afghanistan. He like fucked a lot of things. He installed the Supreme Court Justice John Roberts, super young, and John Roberts turns out to be like an evil guy because remember his court is like the worst court, one of the worst courts we've ever had. I mean, they just gave the president immunity from the law and legalized bribery. Like, it's all sorts of bad stuff. Oh, and then gutted the 14th Amendment. So we had this budget, and then George W. Bush did a few things. He cut taxes, mainly for the rich. And he started these 2 wars, Afghanistan war and the Iraq war. But he didn't want to pay for it. So they just didn't put it on the budget. Well, at the end of George W. Bush's term, We had the financial crash of 2008. It was all on George W. Bush. Now, if you ask MAGA, they all blame Senator Obama because Obama was a senator in 2008. But ask MAGA, they all blame Senator Obama for the crash of 2008. They said, "Oh, I lost all this money in my 401k. Thanks, Obama." What did Senator Obama do? But MAGA doesn't care about facts, right? It's a cult. It's a cult. They don't care. So, that happened. So the Iraq War, the bill for the Iraq and Afghanistan war came due under Obama's term. So Obama also did the Affordable Care Act, which gave healthcare. Well, not gave healthcare, but it made healthcare accessible, healthcare insurance accessible to millions of people and millions of who wouldn't have otherwise had it. They would have these junk policies that don't actually help them. It was terrible. So Obama and the Democrats expanded health insurance to millions of poor people. So that raised the bill that the Americans were or the tax bill, but it was the bill for the Iraq War and the Afghanistan War that came due. That also sucked. And then Donald Trump got his trifecta, right? So the Democrats, when they had a trifecta, they made healthcare accessible to everybody. Then the Republicans came in 2016 with Donald Trump. The big thing they did was they cut taxes for the rich through reconciliation, so the Democrats couldn't filibuster, and that also increased our deficit by a whole bunch. So we have those two bad things that are going on. Those tax cuts are set to expire this term, but they're gonna probably make them permanent. Something's a permanent hole in our budget, right? Because you just cut taxes twice for the rich. So Elon Musk, billionaire, swoops in to say, "I will save you money. I, Elon Musk, never having to want for anything in my entire life, will tell you peons down here." Elon Musk is going to tell you peons down there, you can't even, what's up, right? Because here, let's go where Elon Musk actually lives, right? This is only 1/3 of the way of where Elon Musk actually lives. Right? Look how far. Look. This is $100 billion, and Elon Musk has 3 of them. I missed. This is where Elon Musk lives, and this is $100 billion, right? This is what he was worth maybe a few years ago. Now that he's in the government and he's got Donald Trump in his pocket, he's worth so much money now. It's stupid. So this is $100 billion. So he's gonna tell. Let's see, where are you? You can't even see you, right? Yeah, I was trying to fill in $100 billion. I couldn't do it. It wasn't going to fit. So, yeah, you can't even see you, but you live way over there. So Elon Musk is going to tell you little peons what kind of healthcare you can get. And so they want to cut healthcare. The federal government under either Obama or Biden, I think Obama, expanded Medicaid to cover more people. If the states would pick it up, the feds would help pay for it. So a bunch of states accepted it, and they expanded Medicaid to a lot of people that wouldn't have otherwise had it. Medicaid is like the government health insurance, so that you can go to the hospital if you're poor. And yeah, a lot of states expanded it, and a lot of states did not. They're like, no, we'd rather our poor people not have health insurance, thanks. Like Texas and the Confederacy. The old Confederacy lets their people go without healthcare, but everyone else expanded it. But now Donald Trump, through Elon Musk, wants to cut that and put all these poor people without health insurance again, because America is the Nazis are terrible. The American Nazis are terrible. Look how easily people are manipulated. Look how, like, Donald Trump starts talking about this stupid, inane thing, and the press is all over it, repeating it, while forgetting about what he just said. Oh, I promised to lower the prices. Now he doesn't talk about prices at all. Right? Because his voters are stupid, and they don't care. This is a good one. So, donations total in 2025. Amazon donated $1 million to Donald Trump. Google, $1 million to Trump. Meta, $1 million to Donald Trump. Microsoft, $1 million to Donald Trump. Apple, $1 million to Donald Trump. Uber, $1 million to Donald Trump. Zero. They gave $0 to the people in Pacific Palisades for the fire. Taylor Swift gave $0 to Donald Trump, but gave $10 million. Donated $10 million to the victims of the Pacific Palisades fire. You know, the big wildfire in California that happened in the middle of winter? That's a reflection of where we're going. The fascists only care about power. They don't care about people. Republicans are fascists. So when I say fascist, I'm talking about Republicans. How do I know? Because this is one of their leaders. So this guy is going to tell the rest of you poor people what kind of healthcare you can get. And we're only 1/3 of his value, right? His value is 2 more that way. But then you wouldn't be able to see. It just breaks my head that people would do that. So this is the guy. This is the guy who lives way over here. This Nazi, this fucking Nazi, is the guy who's going to tell you what kind of healthcare you can get. Man, I have fucked this up. Can I expand it this way? Yeah, I can. That's how I got to do it, from there. Okay. So be careful on social media, right? There's a lot of bots, a lot of bots on social media now. I mean, with AI and everything, right? They can pretend to be human. It's the beginning of the Clone Wars. They can pretend to be human, and they're bots all over social media, and all they want to do is create discord. They just want to cause fights. They just want you to waste your energy. So be careful of replying or paying attention to people who spread bullshit, because they're just trying to waste your time. Like my mom's boomer MAGA friend just spews bullshit to waste my mom's time and confuse my mom. She just spreads bullshit because she's a cultist. She's a Nazi and she's a good American. Expenditure per capita. What is this? Oh, yeah. For an example of what's going on in LA. Since 1980, Los Angeles spent more money on its police department than it did on its fire department. Why can't you see? There we go. So yeah, again. So in 1980, they spent about $300 per capita on their police department. But by 2022, they were spending $650 per capita on on police. Conversely, in 1980, they spent about $150 on their fire department. And in 2022, they spent about $175 on their fire department, which means the police department outpaced the fire department by like three times, at least. So, I mean, part of the problem with the Pacific Palisades fire is that climate change. I mean, it's been getting hotter and hotter. I know there's all those climate deniers who don't know, who want to deny reality. But you cannot deny that the hottest days on record have all been in the last, or hottest years on record have all been in the last 10 years. Every year is a new record. Every year. We're in the middle of the rainy season in Oregon in January. And it's like a balmy 50 degrees, clear skies for a week. No clouds at all, just sunny. And the fire season's going to be awful. All right, this is sentiments. Price. How are prices going? And it turns out a lot of people's ideas of where the prices are depend on your political party. So, during Biden's term, Democrats in white, is that right? Thought prices were lower, and Republicans thought prices were higher. But the moment Donald Trump won the wait, no, the other way around. They thought the prices were high, and during Donald Trump's, let me start over. During Donald Trump's term, Republicans thought the economy was doing great, and Democrats thought the economy was doing bad. Then during Biden's term, it reversed. And then, as soon as Trump won, you see it's reversing again. It's reversing again. So, a lot of people's sentiment on how prices are depend on who's president and their political party. Same thing, right? Depending on who wins who holds the okay, whatever. So remember, January 6th. On January 6th, everybody knew what was going on. Everybody knew. Everybody understood that it was an attempt to overthrow the government on January 6th. No one had to tell you anything. It was obvious. I mean, that's why I think Americans are like seriously unplugged from reality. They're seriously unplugged from reality. Because everyone on January 7th, everybody knew what was going on. And now, all those people who attacked the United States and tried to overthrow the government, all of them have been pardoned by Donald Trump. So, what do they learn? What's the lesson here? The lesson is, if you do violence in the name of Donald Trump, it's okay. You can break whatever law. You're above the law if you're working for Donald Trump. That's the message. Republicans are fascists. Republicans are fascists. Joe Biden's legacy. Almost all homes destroyed. Entire neighborhoods have been reduced to rubble, leaving 1.9 million people displaced. 92% of homes damaged or destroyed. 80% of commercial facilities damaged. Like, it's a genocide, dude. Israel wants to colonize the last bits of Palestine. Now they're moving to the West Bank to do what they did to Gaza. It's okay. Rebecca Solnit says, it's striking that people add up the countries that went rightward in leadership to declare a trend, while the rejections and left trends don't get tallied up much. So here goes. Lula is back in power after one term of Bolsonaro. Poland dumped its first far-right leadership. The right didn't triumph in France as predicted, though it's chaos there and centrist Macron is unloved. The UK got its first Labour government since forever. Mexico elected a progressive woman. Germany is a mess, but with left-of-center prime minister. After all those years of Merkel making conservatism look good. Australia has a Labour prime minister. Spain has a socialist prime minister. So not all the world is lurching right, just like countries like Italy and the United States. Italy has the daughter of Mussolini as like the president or something ridiculous like that. Like what? Let's see. I don't know who said that. Can someone explain why TikTok is a bigger national security concern than a social media platform run by a South African techno-feudal oligarch actively interfering in our elections and sabotaging our national interests here and abroad? Yeah, I can explain it. It's because a lot of Americans are white supremacists themselves. Republicans are Nazis. They don't pay attention. They're good Americans, like good Germans. That's how. And now this guy, this open Nazi, who's worth $300 billion, that you can't even relate to him because he's so far beyond you in wealth, now is going to be making decisions about that affect your daily life, like whether or not you can go to the hospital. And he's a Nazi. Like, race predicts crime. He says, Elon Musk said these things. Race predicts crimes. Elon Musk said, only the AfD can save Germany. The AfD is the Nazi party in Germany. So he's openly supporting Nazi parties in other countries. He's doing the Sieg Heil at Trump's inauguration. Jews pushed hatred against whites, which is bullshit. He's anti-Semitic. You see what I'm saying? He comes from apartheid. Dude is a fucking Nazi. Elon Musk is a Nazi. And you can say, wow, he sounds like a Nazi, but MAGA will be like, no, you're crazy. And then he'll do the Nazi salute. And what does MAGA say? No. What does MAGA say? No. Oh shit. He's just showing love to the crowd. They will excuse anything. MAGA will excuse anything Donald Trump does to support the leader. Because they're fascists. They can't think for themselves. Canada competes with Russia in energy exports. Panama upholds sanctions against Russia, and Greenland houses a NATO base to deter Russia. So let's think about this. This is a good one, right? Because Donald Trump had a conversation with the Danish Prime Minister and threatened again to say that he's going to take Greenland. So Donald Trump is like seriously threatening NATO members. In other words, Donald Trump is saying that he wants to start a fight with NATO. He wants to start a war with NATO. Because that's what's going to happen, right? If you invade a NATO country, all the NATO countries declare war on you. That's called Article 5, and that's what the United States called on after 9/11 to get the Europeans to go to Afghanistan. The Europeans would have not gone to Afghanistan if not that for the Americans invoking Article 5 of the NATO treaty to compel them to go. What does Article 5 say? If an attack on one nation is an attack on all the nations. So if the United States attacks Greenland to invade it, that's an attack on a NATO country. All the NATO countries will respond. And that's so Donald Trump wants a war with Europe. Europe is America's ally. Why would Donald Trump be helping or attacking America's allies? Why would Donald Trump be doing that? Oh, that's right. He's a fucking Russian agent. He works for Russia. Like, does this ever fucking get into your brains? Do you ever think about this? No, you don't. You're too busy taking care of your kids. And if someone tells you, you're like, oh, I don't believe you. I don't believe you. Yeah, go ahead, believe Russia. So what I stole this, either this one or the other one, I stole from Wikipedia. Thanks, Wikipedia. That's why I donate money to you. Okay. Oh, well, I want you to live. Because Elon Musk wants to do to Wikipedia what he already did to Twitter, which is make it into a right-wing asset. Okay, so I stole this from Wikipedia. If you take, everyone looks at the world, at the globe, from the side. So and perspective shapes your thinking process. And like for real, like perspective has a huge influence on your thinking process, on your conception of the world. So everybody looks at the globe from the side. Because that's what we're accustomed to. But you got to understand the world is changing, and that's because the North Pole used to be like inaccessible. It was like covered in ice. You couldn't sail ships through it. It was like fuck that noise, right? You can't get through it. It's too much ice, too thick. Like it's you can't use it. Well, global warming is real. Now we have the skeptics. We have people going, no, it's not real. Donald Trump knows it's real. Why do I know? And Vladimir Putin knows it's real. They both know it's real. That's why they are fighting to take control of the North Sea. Is this the North Sea? I don't know what this is called. The Arctic Sea. Because with climate change, all this ice is going to disappear. All that ice is going to disappear, and it's going to mean these shipping routes that where you can move boats are going to be open. It's way shorter to send goods to China this way than it is to go around Africa, or even all the way through the Suez Canal, because now the Suez Canal is kind of iffy. So if you can go this way, that's a lot of money and power. And also it creates new choke points. So you can look at this as like a neo-Mediterranean Sea. It's like a new Mediterranean Sea. The way that the Mediterranean Sea shaped the ancient world in the West is going to be the way that the Arctic Sea shapes the world in the future. Now, if you look at it, the perspective from this way, it looks a lot different. We see that Russia has a huge part of huge control of the Arctic Sea, huge part of it. We also see that Norway has a big chunk of it, right? But look over here. On this side, you have America has a little bit from Alaska, but Canada has all this stuff. And then Greenland is the other massive land chunk. So that's like a big chunk of the Arctic Sea, of the claim, to control the Arctic Sea, which is going to be real big in the future because of climate change, because all the ice is going away because of climate change. They know it. The powers that be know it. You might have your like regular people who are stupid, who don't believe in science, who would deny science, deny climate change. They can deny it all they want. The powers that be are maneuvering as if climate change were real, because it is. So Canada, that's why, understand that Donald Trump is an asset of Russia. He is on Team Putin. He is on Team Putin. So he understands, Russia understands that their enemy on this side is Canada. Canada and Denmark. That's their enemy because they're the ones challenging the control of the Arctic Sea. So if you're Putin, you are not able to make Russia bigger and stronger than the other countries. You can't do it. Why are the other countries bigger and stronger than Russia? Because they're united. They're a united bloc. When they're a bloc and they're united, a federation, if you will, they are big and strong, and you can't mess with them. You cannot mess with them. So Russia can, and Russia, because it's an oligarchy, a criminal oligarchy, it can't grow itself to be bigger. It can't do it because it's a shitty system. It's not based on truth, justice, and liberty. It's based on the worst aspects of human nature. Do you understand? That's why we're talking about the clash of civilizations here. The Russian system of oligarchy and criminality is not able to produce prosperity for its people. It's not able to do it. It can't do it. It cannot. Imperialism is not going to create prosperity for your people. It doesn't work that way because you spend more money on violence than you do on cultivating your own people. That's just the way it is. So the only way Russia can gain power is relatively. You got to understand the word. I don't know. Maybe it's not a big deal for a lot of people, but when Einstein came out with relativity, it changed everything. It changed everything. Relativity is like a hugely important concept. Hugely important. So Russia can't beat the Western blocs in absolute power, but it can weaken them and break up that bloc so that relatively Russia becomes more powerful. That's why Russia lobbied hard for the UK to break off of the EU, because it weakened the UK to a great deal. The conservatives really weakened the United Kingdom. Because why? Because they're fascists. Like when the people are united, they have less power relatively. So Russia wants there to be strife between the United States and all the allies. It wants to isolate the United States. So if the way you can do that is disrupt trade. So there will be less trade between Canada and the United States if Donald Trump institutes his tariffs. It will crash their economies. It will just crash their economies. Like, I was going to buy a house. I'm all ready to buy a house, right? I'm ready. I'm on the cusp. I have the pre-approval. I have like the down payment, the 20%. I have it all. I'm just waiting to do it. Why am I waiting? Because Donald Trump promised to crash the economy. That's why. He says, Donald Trump said he's going to implement tariffs on China and on our allies. When he implements tariffs on our allies will implement tariffs on us. And when I say implements tariffs on, it's not that they will pay, it's that Americans will pay. Prices will go up in America. If Donald Trump institutes 20% tariffs on soft lumber imports, then the cost of soft lumber imports will go up 20%. Doesn't mean Canada will pay it. It means Americans will pay it. What does that mean, Americans will pay it? Well, the contractor is going to have to pay 20% extra for its soft lumber. Contractor is not going to fucking eat that 20%. No way. Now, the cost of their projects are going to go up 20% to include the cost of lumber, the increased cost of lumber. Who pays the cost of their contracts? The consumer, the person. If I want work done on my house, or I want a house, that house is going to be 20% more expensive to build for the contractor. They're not going to eat the price. They're going to pass that on to the consumer. Your price, the price of your house is going to be 20% higher for your new house. Your existing house won't be anymore, but if you want any work done on your house, it'll be more expensive. Like a lot of the cost of a house are the materials. And when you increase the cost of materials, you increase the cost of the price. So if that means the house is 20% more expensive, that means people are not going to buy it. They'll be like, no, this is like way too expensive. Everything else is going to be 20% more expensive too. All the food we buy, all the food we eat, like all the meat we get, all the stuff is going to be more expensive. Any components that we import, like a lot of the world has been globalized. So that means that work is done on a product in all parts of the world and they just ship it. The shipping is so cheap that it's cheaper to pay for labor in another country and then have the product shipped to the components shipped back to another place to be assembled before being shipped again to be brought to market. So if you impose tariffs, then that web of global productivity is going to get snarled with all sorts of additional costs, which are going to pile up. Now the cost of producing your component went up 20%, as well as shipping it, not shipping it, but as well as the other part of the component, which is also another 20%. Like, your whole thing is no longer viable. It's going to crash the economy. People are going to lose their jobs. When they lose their jobs, they're not going to be able to make their housing payments. When they lose their housing payments, they're going to foreclose on their homes. When they foreclose on their homes, the bank holds it. The bank holds it. It's not making any money. The bank is losing money. So the bank wants to sell the asset as soon as possible and just eat the losses, which they'll write off on their taxes. So to sell the house at a loss, they will sell at a lower price, and then I can buy a house, assuming I still have a job. You see the logic? Donald Trump is promising to crash the economy by imposing tariffs. Why would I buy a house if I know Donald Trump is going to crash the economy? So he's working for Russia, because who would that help? Not Americans, but that helps Russia, because relatively Russia gains power. Ta-da-da. What proportion of Congress has enslaver ancestry? So, as you know, in the United States was born of slavery and genocide. Those are our parents. I mean, sure, we're also born of ideology of liberty and justice for all, but not really. It was actually liberty for white property owners, justice for white property owners. But the way they did it was they could not use the old way of seizing power. The old way of seizing power was to say, God has given me the strength to overthrow your corrupt regime and install me as the true and rightful heir of the throne. That's the old way, right? Feudalism. But you couldn't do that anymore because you don't have the church. You didn't have. Instead, we use the faculty of reason, because our founding fathers were born of the age of enlightenment. The age of enlightenment, that sounds pretty woke. Because it is! The founding principles of the United States are woke. Awakened. The Enlightenment. Awakening from what? from a millennia of slumber of no thought, no free thought, no free thinking, no freedom, none. A century of it under the church and the feudal lords. Well, why were the feudal lords in power? Because God said so via the church. Well, if you want to defy that order, you need a new way of doing it. And they said, all men are bestowed with the power of reason and are able to think for themselves and able to govern themselves. They don't need a lord to govern them. Wow, pretty woke. That sounds pretty woke. People using reason instead of tradition? That sounds pretty fucking woke. Those Americans sound pretty woke. So they freed themselves by using this idea that all men are created equal with the faculty of reason and able to govern themselves. The material side of that, the material aspect of the manifestation of this idea was slavery and genocide. It was materialized through slavery and genocide. You had to kill the people who lived on the land so you can make your own land, and you didn't use your own labor. I mean, some of it, but a lot of the labor you used, you stole from another group of humans. You enslaved them in order to and denied them the thing that you gave yourself. You said all men are created equal except for these people. Well, then how does your deal work if all men are created equal? There's a contradiction. The only way that your deal holds together is if the fire of reason is recognized in every human being, and that every human being also has the right to freedom. Pretty woke, man. Pretty woke. So those of it was an unholy union between the only way this country could survive against the European powers is if they banded together. They had to band together. They had to become a union. They had to solidify, because in relative terms, each individual colony would have died. They had to come together, and the people they came together with were slavers, people who enslaved other human beings, and were the exact opposite of the ideals of the United States. Like how can you have a nation built upon liberty and justice for all while teaming up with people who say, actually no, it's only liberty and justice for some, and these people are excluded? How can you do that? Well, you had to do it, otherwise you'd die. So that's a legacy that never went away. A lot of racists want to say, oh yeah, racism is done, it's over, we're in the post-racism time, it's done. No, that's a lie. It never goes away. It never goes away. It is the material foundation of the existence of this entire country. It never goes away. It never goes away. It's always a part of your history. So for an example of it, for a material example of this, we look at what proportion of Congress has enslaver ancestry. What proportion of Congress, of the rulers of our country, descend from the power that was gained from the enslavement of other humans. So 435 congressional members have no enslaver ancestry. And then we have 42 members of Congress that had 1 to 5 slaves. We had 31 members of Congress whose family had 6 to 15 slaves, and we had 27 members of Congress who had more than 16 slaves, like a plantation. They had a plantation, and now their descendants of these enslavers are now in Congress and wielding power. And the people who enslaved the descendants of the enslavers with the most slaves also have the most wealth, because they stole the most wealth from the people they enslaved. Because enslaving humans generates wealth for the enslavers. That's why they do it. And it doesn't go away. It's a big web, dude. It's a big web. It doesn't, like, that's why it's important that you be aware of what's happening, because everything's connected. It's all connected. Mark Twain. Travel is fatal to prejudice, bigotry, and narrow-mindedness, and many of our people need it sorely on these accounts. Broad, wholesome, charitable views of men and things cannot be acquired by vegetating in one little corner of earth all one's lifetime. Mark Twain. Yup, I was very, very, very fortunate that I was able to travel around the world like I was able to do. I was incredibly fortunate. I spent the past 10 years in Salem, Oregon, and I'm like, man, this is awful. Not that it's awful, but like it's a far cry from what I used to do. Man, I used to be all over the world, literally. Like, I don't want to. I'm not bragging because like I'm poor now. I'm not poor. I'm the middle class, but like I have the opportunity to go all over the world and yeah, and so yeah, maybe that's why I have a privileged perspective on things, and I can be woke and not be bothered by it. Because a lot of these people never leave their towns. They never see other human beings. They never ever experience what the world could be like. Because the world can be very, very, very different. It can be very different from the what you're experiencing it to your day-to-day. It feels like, because it's your day-to-day, it feels like this is exactly the world forever. But it's not. It's not. Things change. And they can change. They can change for the better. Things can be better. Well. Trump can't lower egg prices after all. January 23rd, 2025. Egg prices have hit an all-time high on the third day of Donald Trump's presidency. Donald Trump said he would lower prices on day one of his presidency. And actually, eggs became the most expensive they've ever been. Thanks, Trump voters. So another way that Elon Musk wants to cut the budget of the United States is to eliminate the IRS, the Internal Revenue Service. Why would he want to eliminate the Internal Revenue Service? Because the Internal Revenue Service collects taxes from rich people, and rich people hate it. The latest demonstration of President Biden's Inflation Reduction Act in action. The IRS just announced it's crossed the 1 billion threshold in picking up back taxes owed by the ultra-wealthy. Meanwhile, Republicans have threatened a series of cuts to the IRS. That's because Republicans want to help the rich. That's why they cut the taxes for the rich, and that's why they want to get rid of the IRS. Republicans want to help Elon Musk. Who is Elon Musk? Remember, he's the guy who's so wealthy that he lives way over there that you can't even see him, and that's just 1/3 of his wealth. That they're trying to cut taxes for this guy, so he pays less in taxes. And it's not a one-time thing either, right? Look at House set to vote on abolishing the IRS. Republicans literally tried to abolish the IRS. And they defunded the IRS a lot, right? When they had power, they cut the budget for the IRS. What did that mean when they cut budget from the IRS? That meant that the IRS couldn't audit rich people as much, because it costs a lot of money to audit rich people, because rich people can pay a lot of money to accountants to hide their money. So audits for rich people fell a lot, but it didn't fall so much for poor people. They barely audit poor people, But the main benefactor of less audits were not the poor, it was the rich. That's why Republicans want to defund IRS, because IRS makes rich people pay their taxes. IRS has already collected more than $500 million in back taxes from delinquent millionaires. IRS expects to collect hundreds of billions more in unpaid taxes thanks to new funding. That's why the Republicans want to kill the IRS, because it taxes the rich. So what's all this stuff? Oh, yeah. So Joe Biden, so remember, you have to look at what each party does when they have power. When Obama and the Democrats had trifecta, they gave health insurance to millions of poor people. And they only had trifecta for 2 years. Then Trump had trifecta with Republicans. What they did with their power is they cut taxes for the wealthy. Okay. Then Biden gets his trifecta. What did he do? He passed the Inflation Reduction Act. And what did that do? The Inflation Reduction Act, that funded that. I mean, it lowered Medicare prices to $35. He forgave student loans to millions of poor people. He forgave my student loans. The Inflation Reduction Act funded the IRS, which meant the IRS could collect more money from rich people. So what does Elon Musk want to do? He wants to repeal the IRS enforcement. Why does Elon Musk want to repeal the IRS enforcement? Because the IRS gets money from rich people. That's why. So Elon Musk wants to do this one too. What's this one say? Eliminate employer-paid transportation benefits. So it costs money to go to work, right? Like, think about it. Like, I am fortunate enough to work from home, and I recognize like how much labor goes into even getting to work. When I had to go into the office, I would have to wake up extra early to take a shower. I'd have to make sure I have nice work clothes. I'd have to make sure I packed a lunch. I have to make sure, because it's expensive to go out to eat every day. I have to make sure that I have a car, transportation. I have to spend a half hour in traffic and driving to get there. They have to pay for the wear and tear in my car and the gas and the oil change. Right? That's if I'm lucky enough to have a car. A lot of people have to take public transportation, which costs money. Right? It takes longer, and they have to walk to get to the public transportation. So like it's hard to get to work. So some companies were paying the employees money to go to work into the office, because it's like unpaid labor to go into the office. And Elon Musk wants to save some money by not paying people for their time in transportation to work. This billionaire who's got $100 billion, so much that you can't even see where the other people live. He wants to nickel and dime you. That's what he wants to do. He wants to reform IRA's drug policies. Remember, the IRA lowered the price of drugs and lowered insulin to $35. And Elon Musk wants to repeal that so it becomes more expensive again. These are Republican ideas. This is Elon Musk's and Donald Trump's ideas to save save money. They want to cut taxes for the rich people. They want to stop enforcing tax collection from rich people, and they want to cut all the benefits for the poor people. I mean, I'm saying it over and over and over again. I don't think it matters, because Republicans are stupid. Republican voters are stupid, or they're Nazis, or they're so wealthy they don't care. So they want to eliminate the exclusion of interest on state and local bonds. They want to make state and local bonds more expensive. So in other words, because that's how your city and your state do projects. They don't have their own money. They have to make bonds and say, we promise to pay you back if you give us money now. And it used to be that those bonds were free from taxes, but they want to make you pay taxes. Elon Musk. Repeal nursing home minimum staff final rule. So in nursing homes, they try to cut corners as much as possible. One of the ways they cut corners is by having as few people working as possible, giving them as much work as possible to each person they employ. That means people who stay in nursing homes, who live in nursing homes, elderly people who can't take care of themselves, they get the worst service. They get the worst service. So the government passed a law saying, no, you can't do this. You have to make sure there's a minimum number of workers per patient in your nursing home. Elon Musk wants to save money by repealing that and say, no, go back to the old way. Let's make our elderly people suffer in their last moments. That's Elon Musk. Fuck Elon Musk. He's a fucking Nazi. Like, these are the details, right? So when you look at a Trump voter, these are the things you can think about what they value. They value saving a little bit of money by making our elderly patients suffer in their last moments. Trump voters want to save Elon Musk a lot of money by cutting the IRS so that the American government doesn't have enough money. Elon Musk, the Trump voter wants to kick people off their health insurance because it might save Elon Musk some money. That's your Trump voter. Like, it's very divisive, huh? Right? Right? I mean, because if I'm a good American and just try to get along with them, we go nowhere. Like, there's no room to talk about these things with people. They don't care. They don't believe it. Like, they're in a cult. They just don't believe it. It's almost like establish Medicaid work requirements. So that's one of the most evil things ever. They're saying if you're a poor person and you want to get health insurance, health care, you have to work. Which is, like, stupid. If you're sick, how are you going to work? Like, no other country has this kind of bullshit. No other country makes its sick, poor people work. It's only the Americans that do it. Like, they don't have medical bankruptcy in other countries, only in the United States. It's so, like, these are the kind of ideas you get when you put billionaires in charge of your country. They want to fuck poor people. They want to lower the corporate income rate, the corporate tax rate to 15%. I mean, who does that help? That helps rich people. That doesn't help the rest of us. That helps rich people. How do I know? Let's see. What's this? No. Did I get it? Who owns most stock? The vast majority of stock is held by the richest people. You may have your little 401k, but that's a tiny percentage of stock compared to what rich people own. Most of their wealth is in the stock market. They have stocks. They own stocks. So, by lowering the corporate income tax, sure, you're going to help corporations, and that's going to increase their stock value, but who does that help? Helps rich people, because rich people are the one who owns the most stock. They own the majority of it, the vast majority of it. So Elon Musk's ideas all help rich people and all fuck poor people. But that's what happens when you elect a fucking billionaire. A criminal billionaire. He's a criminal. I mean, did you see Jack Smith's report? Oh yeah, here. The wealthiest 10% of Americans own 93% of stocks, even with market participation at a record high. So anything that, when you cut taxes for corporations, you're not helping, you're helping 93, or like what, the wealthiest 10%, because they're the ones who own 90% plus of the stock. Cutting corporate taxes helps the wealthiest people. Fuck. You Americans are... It's because you don't pay attention. I can scream all I want. You're just tuning it out. You're so good at that. You have your smug smile on your face going, I don't hear a word you're saying. I'm tuning you out. All that truth is, I'm a not... Like, you guys are so stupid. You're so stupid. Yeah, because I know I have a lot of Trump voters in my family, and like they're so smug in their ignorance. They're so smug. Uh, yeah. So we have I have Jack Smith's final report. Jack Smith was the special prosecutor tasked with finding out about Donald Trump's insurrection to see what crimes Donald Trump did, and Jack Smith had ready to go, ready to prosecute a case against Donald Trump. And then Donald Trump said, "No, you can't do that because the president is immune from the law." And that was ridiculous. And the appeals court said that's ridiculous. But Donald Trump brought it all the way up to the Supreme Court, where he owns the Republicans. And the Republicans said, no, Donald Trump is immune from the law. So it was kicked back down to Jack Smith to say, no, you have to redo your case with knowing that the president is immune from the law. So Jack Smith redid his case and said, okay, everything that Donald Trump did, or the vast majority of what Donald Trump did, was he did in a capacity as a private person, and not in his capacity as president. He did it as a private citizen trying to get elected, and that's why we're going to go to trial and convict him and send him to prison. Well, they delayed it as long as possible to give Donald Trump time to go to the election. And then he got a bunch of fucking Nazis, and he got Elon Musk to help him with hundreds of millions of dollars to help him win the election so that he can escape justice. So this is a criminal. He's a felon who escaped justice, who got away with it by becoming the president of the United States. So Jack Smith issued a report, his last report, saying, well, why didn't you prosecute Donald Trump? And because he has to, right? And so that's what he did. Let's look at the table of contents. The results of the investigation. Mr. Trump's pressure on state officials. Mr. Trump's fraudulent elector plan. Mr. Trump's misuse of official power through the Justice Department. Mr. Trump's pressure on the Vice President. Mr. Trump's supporters attacked the United States Capitol. The law. Conspiracy to defraud the United States. Obstruction and conspiracy to obstruct. Conspiracy against rights. His defenses. Other charges. Co-conspirator liability. The principles. Now we're going to talk about the principles of federal prosecution. The substantial federal interest in protecting the integrity of the electoral process and the peaceful transfer of power were served by Mr. Trump's prosecution. Because Donald Trump now threatens the peaceful transfer of power. Donald Trump tried to overthrow the government on January 6, 2020. Then he pardoned all the people who tried to do it, which means there would be no consequences for trying to overthrow democracy in the United States. Number 2, the substantial federal interest in counting every citizen's vote was served by Mr. Trump's prosecution. Donald Trump tried to throw out people's votes and say, oh, you voted for Biden? We don't care. We're replacing your vote with what I say. That's what Donald Trump said, right? Because he's a fascist, right? He doesn't care about democracy. So the Supreme Court, if you want your vote to count, you're going to prosecute Donald Trump and make him pay. But a lot of Americans don't want their vote to count, which is why they put him back into power. Fucking idiot, stupid Americans. The substantial federal interest in protecting election officials and other government officials from violence was served by Mr. Trump's prosecution. Remember, the mob wanted to kill Mike Pence. They chanted, "Hang Mike Pence." They had gallows out front. They were armed. They had guns. They had weapons. Like, they were going to kill Mike Pence if he wasn't evacuated. So the interest of the United States was served by prosecuting that crime, even though the voters by a slim majority, voted to make Donald Trump president and immune from these crimes, and then Donald Trump went ahead and pardoned everyone for it, it still was served. It was still important. All right, yeah. Okay, so let's keep going, right? It's important. The substantial federal interest in, okay, the last one. The substantial federal interest in the even-handed administration of the law. So, this is the idea that everyone is equal under the law, that no one is above the law. Like, this is what the federal government was trying to prove by holding Donald Trump accountable. Like, but the principle that everyone is equal before the law was undermined by the Americans electing Donald Trump and making him immune to the law. They basically reinstated a king. They're trying to reinstate a dictator. The MAGA Americans. The MAGA Americans. Are they good Americans? I don't know. Were they good Nazis? Mr. Trump was not subject to effective prosecution in another jurisdiction. There was no adequate non-criminal alternative to prosecution. Mr. Trump's conduct had no historical analog. It has never been done before. It was never done before. No one had tried to overthrow the federal government like Donald Trump before Donald Trump. Yeah. So, the first page, Volume 1 of the election case. On November 18th, 2022, the Attorney General appointed the special counsel to oversee an ongoing investigation into whether any person or entity violated the law in connection with efforts to interfere with the lawful transfer of power following the 2020 presidential election, or the certification of electoral college vote held on or about January 6, 2021. See Office of the Attorney General Order number 5559-2022, appointment of John L. Smith as special counsel. As a result of that investigation, on August 1st, 2023, a federal grand jury in the District of Columbia charged Donald J. Trump with 4 felony offenses arising from his efforts to unlawfully retain power by using fraud and deceit to overturn the 2020 election results. After the Supreme Court held last summer that Mr. Trump was immune from prosecution for certain misuse of official power alleged in the indictment, a second grand jury found probable cause to return a superseding indictment charging the same offenses based on his non-immunized conduct. Mr. Trump was therefore re-elected as President of the United States, and as a result, on November 25th, 2024, the special counsel moved to dismiss the case against Mr. Trump because of the Department of Justice's long-standing position that the Constitution forbids the federal indictment and prosecution of a sitting president. Yeah, Jack Smith said he had him dead to rights. Here's the whole report. That's like the whole thing, the PDF. What page was it? 175? Oh no, here, page 175. Oh no, not 165. 165? Oh, that's a bunch of bullshit. Oh, these are the defenses. Oh, this is Donald Trump. This is Donald Trump trying to, like, defend himself. That's funny. Why would they put in Donald Trump's thing? Fuck Donald Trump. Fuck Donald Trump. The department's... Okay, this is page 145. 145. The department's view that the Constitution prohibits the continued indictment and prosecution of a president is categorical and does not turn on the gravity of the crimes charged, the strength of the government's proof, or the merits of the prosecution, which the office stands fully behind. Indeed, but for Mr. Trump's election and imminent return to the presidency, the office assessed that the admissible evidence was sufficient to obtain and sustain a conviction at trial. If Donald Trump went to trial, he would have been convicted and found guilty of a felony fraud and obstruction of justice. If not for the stupid Americans who voted for him, he would have went to prison. But the stupid Americans and the fascist Americans voted for him to become above the law, and now he's going to destroy the United States. How is he going to destroy the United States? By wrecking all our allies and all our alliances and all our trade deals. He's going to wreck everything. And he is already doing it. And the stupid Americans plug their ears, put on blinders, and have a giant smug smile on their face as it happens. Congratulations, you got your criminal. The felon, Donald Trump, is your leader. And who does he bring in? Fucking Nazis. So you got your Nazis. Of course, they don't care, right? They don't care. They don't even listen. I mean, I can show you their stupid ideas. I can show you all the proof, all the evidence. But if you refuse to use your God-given gifts of sight and hearing and reason, if you refuse to use it, then what can I do? Organize! Get in touch with other like-minded individuals and see what we can do to resist fascism. Because it's coming. I mean, it's here. Fascism is here. I mean, they're already doing raids. There was a raid. They tried to do a raid on a school, and the school officials wouldn't let them. I heard on Facebook that someone already came home and their parents were gone. A kid came home from school and their parents were gone because they were picked up by ICE. So the abductions are already happening. The roundup is already happening. You know that whole deal with Anne Frank hiding? Anne Frank, because their parents were going, because they would go to a concentration camp and get murdered if they didn't hide? That's happening right now. Are they going to murder him? I mean, I don't know. Not yet. But how long do you think it'll take? You guys fucked up. And I'll leave you with that. Peace.